Welcome friends, another guest replay by Middle Aged Noob. We're reviewing my usual guest, Markbug of the Cue Ball clan. Markbug is in his trusty Chaffee. He's in a Tier 5, Tier 4 game on Arctic Region or Mannerheim line, however you prefer to call it. He's one of 3 lights on his team, facing 6 lights on the other team. So Markbug is going to have a really good game here. Of course, Markbug is a really good light tank player. But I think one of the benefits that he's going to enjoy in this game is the fact that both his team and the opposing team are not very good. As Skill likes to say, your best games are when, both teams are pretty bad, but you are just a little bit better. Now, Markbug is parked up here in a fairly typical bush. It's a pretty conservative bush, but I think that Markbug may realize that this is going to be a bit of a carnival show and decides that he wants to preserve his hit points and stay a bit later into this game. So just looking at the way the teams are dispersing, we've got the red team, all those light tanks are running around like chickens with their heads cut off there in the sort of the north mid, and that's not going to work out very well for them. And on Markbug's side, we've got the G1R and the KV220 charging headlong into the heavy tank side, which isn't going to work out very well for them either. So let's see how this game develops. So the reds that rush the mid are getting beaten up a little bit, but they are paying the price for it. Markbug's now poked his head around the corner and is trying to get some spots on the tanks that are crossing down towards the south, towards the heavy line. And he's having some success in doing some damage there. He's got a bunch of lights there in the mid. And he's not getting lit when he shoots. Nice thing about low tier games is that the opposition has such crummy view range. You're also seeing a little bit of the weakness of low tier play in that Markbug's gun is not exactly the most reliable. Doesn't have fantastic gun handling, and the shell velocity isn't really all that great either. So the KV220 and the G1R have been wiped out, and we know from what Markbug has spotted that there are going to be a lot of tanks going down along the south line. I don't know if Markbug has realized that yet. He's doing some good work here, shooting into the mid, doing some lighting up here, but pretty soon, that south side is going to be a problem. We're seeing the M8A1 starting to show up. Markbug is still focusing on that KV1SA, doing some good work there, getting some damage, keeping him tracked. But looking towards the south again, M5 Stewart, PZ38NA, M8A1, all have made it across, and the the KV1 and the T1 Heavy can't be that far back. I don't know if Markbug has realized that, but I think he's awoken to it now. Maybe not quite yet. There he goes. So he sees the PZ38NA heading for the backfield. He also got the M8A1 lit up. And I think he's now realized that he's absolutely got to do something about these guys that are in the backfield. It's really just him and the M10 RBFM who are going to be able to deal with these guys. The rest of Markbug's team is way up there in the north. Oh, there's the T1 Heavy and the KV1. His rest of the team is going up into the north and is going to try and push around the corner to get at the Reds' cap. And they're about to find out that that is a really difficult thing to do when they're well dug in defenders. So it's really going to be up to Markbug and this M10 RBFM to try and keep this game going. This is a clutch shot. Luckily the gun comes through on that particular shot. So it's now just the PZ in the backfield and the KV1 and the T1 a little bit more forward. There's the T1. That's a pretty low percentage chance shot shooting into the turret of the T1, but you miss every shot you don't take. There's the PZ. He's sitting still, not really sure why he's doing that, maybe because he thought he could beat the M10's reload, but now he's paying the price for it. Here's the derpiness of the gun. Even at this range, he has trouble hitting this target. So now it's, well, the M10 takes care of him, but the M10's now down to just a whiff of hit points, and he's still got that KV-1 and the T1 Heavy to deal with. Meanwhile, Markbug's team is successfully suiciding in the north, so Markbug can expect to see all of those guys coming soon. KV-1 dropped into the dip to kill Artie, so we know where he is, but we don't know where the T1 Heavy is gone. Markbug's posting up in this bush, I think sensibly deciding that he'd rather see them coming than get spotted by them. But at the same time, the clock is definitely against them. Those, the Covenanter, the Martyr, they can be expected to be starting to push towards these guys. Luckily, the KV-1 reveals himself. Unfortunately, Markbug is not able to penetrate him, even with gold, but he does come back and give him the flat side, so he is able to get a shot in, which puts KV-1 down to a one-shot, but the T1 Heavy is still out there. The M10 RBFM very bravely is coming around to the side to try and flank these heavies. I think that's not really a high percentage play, because he's likely to run into the Covenanter and the Martyr, but nevertheless, there he goes. There's the T1. I don't know if Markbug was expecting to find him there, but nevertheless he did. Trying to do the circle of death, not helped by getting tracked in the hill here, which slows down his progress, but repairs the track and is able to get around him. Gotta be worried about that KV-1. It's going to come in, oh, not to mention Artie. But he's able to dispatch the T1. And the RM10 dispatches the KV-1, so that's a really nice outcome. Not saying that they're in great shape, but at least they've got 2 tanks against 4, and 2 of those 4 are Artie. Now, Markbug is, I think, quite wisely disappearing into the backfield to try and spot these guys as comes, which is not a bad tactic, but it leaves his M10 hanging out there in the wind all by himself. The Covenanter has clearly spotted the M10 and has lit it for Artie, and there goes the M10. So we're officially 4v1 now. Markbug against 2 Arties, the Martyr 38T and the Covenanter. Markbug has some hit points, but he doesn't have all of them. That T1 took a few pieces out of him. So now the question for Markbug is, do you try to push up and deal with these guys piecemeal, or do you sit back and hope to outspot them and have maybe double bush, camo sniping, or at least first shot advantage? So, he's double bushing. There's the Martyr. Martyr is a really quick, pretty hard-hitting, fast-firing Tier 4 TD. There's one useless shot, but at least it didn't get him spotted. And there's the Covenanter. Bad luck with that gun. So now Markbug's in a bit of a hard spot. Covenanter helps out by making a really bad poke, but he is now in a crossfire between the Covenanter and the Martyr. Martyr shoots HE, which I think saves Mark's bacon and bounces him here. I don't know if that was another HE round or not. But I think if that Martyr had been shooting AP, it'd be all over for Markbug. Nevertheless, he manages to survive, but he's a one-shot to everything now. I do not know why that Covenanter did not push up. He really should have. That would have been the end of Markbug and the end of this game. But he didn't, and you don't look gift horses in the mouth. So he's able to spot the Covenanter, but not get a reticle on him, which is a little hard to understand, but, you know, maybe he lit him and then the Covenanter ducked back. So, question again for Markbug, what do I do? Do I try and hunt this guy, or do I try to take the first, stay hidden and get the first shot advantage? Lots of arguments both ways. There are one-shots to each of them, so, you know, whoever manages to land the first shot is going to win that fight. But on the other hand, Markbug also has to worry about those two Arties. They could start blind firing. He's not exactly in the most unlikely position on the map, and he does risk getting blind fired. Also, as long as the game goes on, there is a possibility, unlikely as it seems, that those Arties could find their W and start making their way in here. In which case, again, Markbug is, going to have pressure with potentially being spotted from different angles and potentially being shot at from different angles. Anyway, that Covenanter has now been gone for quite a while. And I think Markbug is starting to wonder, and I think that maybe a tree went down over there. I'm not sure myself, but Markbug definitely thinks that maybe there's a reason to start looking in this direction. And there he is. The Covenanter comes out and dies. But that gets Markbug lit. And Alert Artie would have been pre-aiming in this direction. One miss. Two misses, and they're dead. They're not dead, but Markbug has dropped light, and they don't know where he is. So, same question for Markbug. Do you sit and wait, hoping that these Arties have a W and are willing to drive into you, or do you start to go out and hunt them? So I think the first thing Markbug is going to do is he's going to do a little bit of active scouting. He's going to have a better view range than these SPGs. So he's going to kind of swing out a little bit and see if he can light them on their way in. That was very close. I imagine the adrenaline that Markbug was feeling kind of was interfering with his driving. So didn't see anybody coming at this point, at least from the north. He's kind of going back to his old camping grounds here. I mean, I think that's a dangerous play. This is where they knew he was the last time. Pretty high candidate for a blind shot. But on the other hand, it does give him view range, and with his binos, absolute certainty of getting a first shot if they do come in here. I think he's going to decide to do, again, a bit of an active run, try and see if he can't see them coming. Knocks over a lot of stuff, which, again, if the Artie's in their aerial view, would show up. Maybe he's hoping to mislead them as to his position. Markbug's asking about capping. I think it's already too late for that. Which he's also decided. If I were him, I would be out there hunting these guys. The last thing you want to do is have one of them spot you and then the other one nuke you. But it's Markbug's game and he's doing very well. One shot didn't get lit. Two shot does get lit. He could have been double bushing here. The third shot takes him out and he dodges the other Artie's shot. Whew, that was close. So one Artie at least had a W. Trying to figure out where the shot came from. The team's saying somewhere on the J line, which strikes me, I think that's how I saw the arc as well. Again, hunter sit, hunter sit. He could be worried about a draw. There's only a minute 23 left. I would be hunting. Oof. He had knocked over a tree. That was a pretty good blind shot. I think Markbug has decided that he has to go after him. And there he is. Now, I think he was probably outspotted by this Artie. He's probably running binos and camo. But luckily for Markbug, that Artie had not yet reloaded, so couldn't shotgun him as he was coming across, which allowed Markbug to spot him. Once again, the Artie missed, which allows Markbug to finish him off. There you go. 7 kills and a come-from-behind victory. Really, really. So let's take a look at the end plates. Victory, of course. Master, High Caliber, Top Gun, Scout, patrol duty. Quite a nice little fistful set of medals there. Top on his team by damage, high caliber. Top on his team by experience, ace tanker. Did a really nice game there. That Martyr, of course, played very well for the other side, as did the KV-1 and the T-1. So it really was a case of Markbug and that M10 holding off a pretty good team on the other side without, frankly, a lot of help from his own team. So 50 shots fired, only 39 hit. Shows you the derpiness of that gun. Only managed to make a profit because of the action mission payout, because he was firing a lot of gold. But nevertheless, I don't think Markbug was worried about the cost of that game, given that ace tanker, top gun, high caliber, etc., etc. So there you go. Really great game, Markbug. Thanks for sending it in. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is Middle-Aged Noob wishing you all a very good day and hope to see you on the battlefield. Good luck. Have fun.